Winkler Mayor Henry Siemens, it is nice to be sitting with you here in the beautifully decorated Winkler City Hall. Thank you for taking the time to sit with me to chat about the year that was, almost the year that was, 2022.
Thank you very much, Pam. It's nice to sit down and be able to just reflect a little bit on everything that happened in 2022. And 2022 was indeed a crazy year. If we go back now, and it's almost difficult to imagine, but the winter that we went through, the really long, really cold winter, the one that seemed to never end, that led, in fact, to a big April storm, things that we're just not used to seeing all the time.
Another thing that I was thinking of is August. I was at a city council meeting, and when I walked into this building, it was starting to rain. About half an hour later, I walked out, and the streets were flooded. Do you remember what I'm talking about, Mr. Mayor?
That was a scary time for the community to get that much rain that fast. And it showed us how well it had been planned out and how well our team here at the City of Winkler had prepared for big events. But it also showed us that even with all of that preparation, when that much rain came that quickly, that there was just no way that our system was designed to handle it. And in fact, we had quite the scare. For a period of time, it almost felt like the South Dike would be breached and we would have a massive flood into Winkler. And we certainly had some places in the community already that did hurt through it, but that would have been catastrophic. We would have had hundreds and hundreds of houses completely flooded out. In the end, we were able to keep it there. There was a very scary concern for quite a bit of time, but we were able to hold it at bay. It's, I think, similar to some of the other really big events. It's going to be something that's going to remain with us for a long time. How close we came to losing a good section of Winkler there. We're again learning from that, the way we tried to, in every instance, to try to learn from that event, to say, what could we do differently? What should we do differently? Where should we be prepared for? And I know from an administration point of view, there are some changes that have been made, and we've enhanced a few other aspects of that dike to recognize the good thought, the vision years ago that went in to having that there. If we hadn't had that there, we would have lost a huge chunk of Winkler. And now to have that there where we need to reinforce, we learned a few more things in terms of where we need to reinforce and where we need to put some additional supports in place to make that happen. But it was, like you said, everything was normal. It was raining lightly when council meetings started, and we could hear it above our heads that it was coming. It was raining more and more, and by the time it was done and we left here, it was a lake. There was huge sections of Winkler that was a lake already, and it just kept coming, and it was a little bit scary. It's difficult when you think back and try to remember all the individual things that happened, when at the end it's accumulation of everything that did happen that gets you here. I think if I go specifically on a few things, I was thinking the other day and going back to go that at the beginning of this year, we still had restrictions, and our Meridian Exhibition Center wasn't fully open. That came to the fore because we had a meeting the other day talking about all the events we had in the season, all the banquets, the first time things that we were able to have in that beautiful facility, and how well everything had gone. And then you think back to the fact that really this was the first time that we were able to do it. And we thought back to the rules that had been in place at that time, and the difficulty that some of the people had with some of them, either implementing or dealing with, or the struggles that were there. And then now to be in a place that we can fully open that facility, and that people are there and they're enjoying it and they're having fun in it, and we can have a banquet and a hockey tournament and all kinds of other events going on at the same time. It was It was good. It was lots of fun to be able to see that.
And to see how it was utilized during the Winkler Harvest Festival, and the huge crowd and this new setup was just amazing. And just to see the families come out and so many new faces, it was just so wonderful. And it's been used for the election. So, and that's another thing. You started the year as a councillor, you're mayor now. Another big change?
That's a really good point. It is another really big change. We started the year, Mayor Martin Harder was finishing out his 4th term. It served the community well, and all of a sudden, after October 26th, I'm sitting in this chair, and because I had been a councillor, I had a pretty good idea of what was to come, but it's still a little bit interesting when you first chair the meeting on a consistent basis. There's additional work involved, there's additional preparation involved, there's a significant amount of responsibility that you feel on your shoulders to be able to do that well for the community. The election itself was nerve-wracking when we think about it. There was 2 different messages in terms of what we wanted to do, and everybody has their own reasons for running. And when you have 13 councillors running for 6 seats, or potential councillors running for 6 seats, and when you have 2 people running for mayor, there's a lot of ideas and a lot of debate that were there. And I felt really good after the election with a strong mandate to reach out to our community, to rebuild relationships in our community, to grow relationships in our region. It's been really good, and the first couple of months have been a lot of firsts, and meeting with different groups in my new role, an opportunity to meet new people. It has been strongly invigorating to see our community. We were told by a lot of people, whether it was media or otherwise, that we were a divided community, and it was so good to see that we're really not. We're a community that wants to work together. We're a community that wants to build together. We're a community that wants to grow together. We may not all agree on every point, but my goodness, we come together to get things done. And it's so much fun, and it's so invigorating to see.
And it was just displayed again when you look at the Christmas dinner at Cafe 545 just this last week, and how community volunteers came together to put that on.
I'm amazed, constantly amazed, at how our community comes together, at how our community is there for others. And we recognize that even in a community like Winkler, where we're tremendously blessed when we look around, but those blessings aren't spread equally. And there are times when some businesses, some organizations are more successful than others, and how generously they share during those times. And there's times when, for whatever reason, other people, other organizations are hurting, and how people come around them and walk beside them and walk with them. I'm humbled to think that I have an opportunity to be involved in leadership in this community with people like this, who generally want to do better, who generally want to help.